Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in to unlock the secret to sustainable leadership. We're going to explore exactly how you can build an absolutely unbreakable foundation and master the 80-20 principle to cultivate your true strengths. Let's get into it.
So here's a massive question that's honestly puzzled organizations for decades. Why do talented people fail as leaders? I mean, we've all seen it happen, right? Somebody who's just a brilliant individual contributor, someone with totally undeniable natural talent, gets promoted, they step into a leadership role, and suddenly they just stall out. They burn out, they can't seem to inspire their team, or they just hit a wall. It really challenges our basic assumptions, doesn't it? We kind of think natural talent is enough to carry us through the whole shebang, but the reality? It's a lot more complex. There is a hidden trap out there, and it catches even the brightest stars.
Well, to answer that, we're pulling directly from Ryuho Okawa's book, Winning Strategies for Leaders. Specifically, we're zeroing in on Chapter 6, and this chapter points directly to a really critical leadership blind spot. It basically argues that the reason talented leaders fail isn't because they suddenly lose their talent. No, it's actually a structural failure in how they manage their foundational skills versus their unique strengths.
Section 1. The Leadership Blind Spot and the Dynamic Foundation. Okay, so if we want to understand what causes this leadership stagnation, we first have to understand the true nature of foundational skills. It's incredibly easy to get caught up in the flashy parts of leadership. Vision, high-level strategy, public speaking, but the source material forces us to look downward, right at the bedrock beneath our feet. The text defines this blind spot as the neglect of fundamental skills and basic foundations once a certain level of success is achieved. Just think about it for a second. When you're first starting out, you work incredibly hard to learn the ropes. You study, you practice, you build your foundation. But as you climb the ladder and actually start tasting some success, there's this really dangerous temptation to think, oh, I've made it, I know enough now. Complacency sets in, and according to the text, forgetting those basics, neglecting that fundamental power, is exactly what ultimately causes leadership failure. Your foundation literally cracks under the weight of your new responsibilities.
We so often operate under this myth of a static foundation. We treat our foundational skills like the concrete foundation of a house. You pour it once, it sets, and boom, you never have to think about it again. You're done. But the text challenges this head-on. It introduces the reality of a dynamic foundation. A strong foundation in leadership is a living, breathing thing. It's not static at all. It's dynamic, and it strictly requires a spirit of continuous study. Basically, if you aren't actively maintaining and upgrading your foundation, it is actively degrading.
The absolute most crucial point is captured perfectly in this quote from the source. A foundation is not something you finish building once, it requires a spirit of continuous study. This right here is the antidote to the leadership blind spot. It's an unending commitment to learning. It means staying humble enough to realize that no matter how high you rise in the ranks, you've got to continually revisit those basics. You have to keep reading, keep learning, keep asking the fundamental questions. The exact moment you lose that spirit of continuous study is the moment your leadership starts to expire.
Section 2. The solution. The 80-20 principle.
But here's the very real dilemma, right? How do you continuously study and build your foundation without totally burning yourself out or neglecting your actual day job? Well, the text advocates for an 80-20 principle for your time and energy. It breaks down like this. 80% of your effort goes towards your core business or your main job. The remaining 20% is designated as an investment in talent. And honestly, this should be a huge relief because it assures us that to grow as a leader, you absolutely shouldn't just abandon your primary responsibilities. It is all about proportion and intentionality. Let's unpack that big 80% focus first. Value and maintain your core work. The text emphasizes that the vast majority of your effort really must remain dedicated to properly executing your primary job. Why? Because delivering on your core responsibilities is exactly how you keep that foundation secure. It's how you maintain trust with your team and your whole organization. I mean, you can't build a future if your present is literally falling apart, right? So, valuing your core business is the very act of maintaining that stable, reliable foundation we were just talking about.
Section 3. Cultivating soul-resonating strengths.
Now, just maintaining the foundation isn't going to be enough to make you an exceptional leader. This is where your unique leadership signature is born, and it happens through your strategy for that remaining 20%. The text advises that you've got to actively identify your talents and invest time in what resonates with your soul. Think about it. What work makes you completely lose track of time? It doesn't just say work on a random side project. It says to find what truly resonates with your soul. This means discovering those specific areas where your natural talents intersect with your deepest passions. It's about nurturing real distinctive strengths. If you dedicate just 20% of your time to fiercely developing the things you're uniquely gifted at, the things that deeply energize you, that small daily or weekly investment is going to compound over time into an unstoppable leadership advantage.
Okay, let's tie this all together into a cohesive, actionable game plan that you can use right now. Step 1. Value your core work. Keep the lights on, do your primary job excellently, and vigorously protect that 80%. Step 2. Take the actual time to genuinely identify your true talent. What are you naturally great at? What do people always come to you for? And finally, Step 3. Invest time in what resonates with your soul. Take that precious 20% and use it to sharpen that specific talent into a world-class strength. This three-step process is going to allow you to safely and effectively build your foundation, all while nurturing your own unique leadership power.
So, we've covered a ton of ground in this explainer today, from the dangerous blind spot of neglecting our foundations, all the way to the practical application of the 80-20 principle. But I want to leave you with one final, really provocative thought to chew on. Is your 20% today being spent on what resonates with your soul? Or is it being lost to distractions, busy work, or maybe just coasting on past success? Your growth as a leader completely depends on that dynamic, continuous study, and it depends on fiercely protecting that 20% to cultivate your true strengths. So take a hard look at your calendar this week and see where your time is really going. Thanks so much for joining me, and I truly hope this helps you build an unbreakable foundation for your future success.